5 new IEM releases we're going to be talking about in this video. We have the BL-A8 Prometheus, of course, Kiwi Ears Orchestra, also Ikko OH1S Gem, Thieaudio Oracle, and last but not least, Campfire Audio Honeydew. So this is going to be more of a first impression videos. It's not a deep dive review or anything. I just got these and I spent some time with them, not too long yet, so I'm not ready to review any of these properly, but I'm going to tell you guys my initial thoughts on them, my first impression. So let's jump right into it. Yo, what's up guys? Team, welcome back to another video on Thieaudio. So today we have 5 new releases from the year 2021. Of course, there's plenty more new releases that I have not grabbed yet. I mean, there's Moondrop Variation that came out. I want to try that one. I actually have that one coming in. So hopefully we can test that one out soon. But these are the 5 that I have in front of me right now for you guys today. I also did the Scald review, Kinera Scald. If you guys want to watch that one, it's a previous video. I already reviewed it, so not going to talk about it here. So where to even start? Wow, man, this year, I mean, not this year, this past 2 months has been a monstrous wave of new releases. We have more coming in July. We have Thieaudio Miu, we have Transgem Prism. I don't know when that's coming out, but tons and tons of new releases in the IEM world. It is impossible to keep up, but luckily, we've seen some amazing releases that I'm about to show you guys today. There's actually 2 of them that I really love that you guys should definitely check out. But let's start off with the cheapest one. Yeah, let's start off from the lowest to the highest price. So the first one here, we have the BL-A8 from Blon. Now, disclaimer, I've only had this for about 2 days. Really, I've only been trying it for about 2 days. And my first thoughts on it is, the first thing that came to mind was how well built it is. I mean, it looks beautiful in person. Some of you guys might think it looks tacky, like especially in pictures and everything, but when you actually hold this thing in hand, it looks really cool. And I think it's a really nice talking piece, you know, to bring up to your friends who maybe are not really into audio. You pick this thing up, you show them, and then they ask you, oh man, what the heck is that? And you're like, yo, it's the Prometheus IEM. It's a really cool talking piece, and I'm glad I own these. Now, in terms of the sound, my first impression of them, for me, they have quite a weird quirk to them that it's not really super pleasing to my ears. But again, I only had this for 2 days so far, so I have to test it out with like more genres of music, maybe burn them in a little bit. But as of right now, they have this really weird sound stage that for me just makes everything feel slightly bit claustrophobic. They have quite a wide stage in terms of width, so you get instruments from here, just all around the width side is really good. But in terms of depth, how far away an instrument is or how close an instrument is almost non-existent with this IEM. I've listened to Strife by Amber Rhubarb's session from the 17th Ward. That one is a very good test of depth in terms of, you know, if you're testing IEMs, that song is a very good song for sampling to see how good an IEM does in the depth department or just soundstage department in general. And every instrument in that song, instead of sounding like they're coming from their own space in terms of the stage, they all sound like they're pretty much the same distance away. I mean, you can see that this one is on over here and this one is over here, but they're about the same distance away. Instead of being, this is close to my left, this is close to my right, you guys get what I mean. The staging just feels a little bit claustrophobic, and that's the biggest problem with me right now in terms of these IEMs. Anyway, it's just it doesn't really have that kind of wide stage. And I listen to a lot of orchestras, and you see where that comes into play a lot. Because with orchestras, I want a lot of depth. I want wide stage. I want depth of field. I want to listen to orchestra and feel like it's the biggest thing on the planet. These don't do that for me. Everything feels close and a little bit congested. Now, that's the only thoughts I have on these right now. But the one thing that these do well, and I would commend them for it, is the detail. The micro detail department, the macro detail department, these do better than some of the Blons that I've tried so far, the BL-03, the BL-05. But besides that, I still would pick the BL-03 over this one in overall tonality and everything else. The BL-03 is still the superior Blon, in my personal opinion. If you can only pick one from the brand, I still go with the BL-03. This one, the A8, as of right now, my first impression, not my favorite. Moving up the price bracket, we have the Ikko OH1S. Now this runs $199, but if you buy it straight from Ikko, and I found this out just by chance, is that if you add this to cart on the Ikko website, it actually automatically takes $20 off. So I actually got these for $179. So I don't know if that was supposed to be a legitimate thing, or was that a bug in the system or anything like that. But hey man, I got $20 off for this. And if you want to grab this, I guess you guys can go try that out now to see if that's still a thing or not. But hey, $20 off, I'll take that any day of the week. So on to the sound of these. Well, let's first talk about how this looks. This looks good. I like how it looks, and I like the fit even better. It's small, it's very lightweight, and it's probably one of the most comfortable IEMs I've ever put in my ears. It's just I don't feel it at all when I'm listening to it, which is great. Just super comfortable, and it provides quite a great seal as well, so you don't really hear a lot of what's around you. Great isolation on these. So how about the sound? Now the sound on these, they have this kind of weightlessness to it, similar to the Thieaudio OH1S, where every notes just feel like they lack a little bit of meat. So there's that in there that I'm not really like a big fan of. But the one thing it does well, and the one thing that surprises me, was the stage. Like, it actually feels wide, like it feels spacious. I really was surprised by the feeling when I was listening to these IEMs, and the level of details on these as well, the micro details especially, are nicer than what I would expect at this price for me. So that was a nice little discovery for me. So far, do I recommend these? I mean, for me right now, I would say that these are in between. They're not my favorite, but I also don't hate it at the same time. There's actually qualities about these that push it up to that $200 mark to make it more worth it. So it's not a pair of IEMs that I would put up against a $100 IEM for sure. There are qualities in these that I feel like is worth the asking price, that worth the $200. Now, whether it sounds good to your ears, whether you like the tuning on these or not, that's really gonna be up to you. For me, the weightlessness in the notes kind of throws off a lot of the correctness, especially in terms of the vocals. Everything just feels a little bit heady, and that's not something that I really gravitate towards, especially for the library that I listen to. I listen to a lot of vocals. I listen to a lot of K-pop. Frank Sinatra, for example, Michael Bublé. I listen to a wide array of vocals, again, orchestra. So I like it when things sound correct. And when everything sounds a little bit heady, a little bit in the air, not a lot of meat, it just makes vocalists feel like they don't have any kind of authority. And that to me was the biggest turnoff for these. But for the price, what you get in the soundstage and what you get in the details, for me, it did impress me a little bit in that department. I can't lie and say that it didn't impress me at all. So it did impress me. Do I recommend it as of right now? Not so sure. All right, so next one, we have the $250, $249 Campfire Honeydew. Now these are something else. When I first listened to these, I got these yesterday. I put them on and I was like, that's the bass. So thunderous, so big, so fun. I loved everything about it. So when I first heard about these, and I heard Andrew from the Headphone Show talk about it, he said it was a thunderous bass IEM. And in my head, I was like, I don't have one yet. You know, I look in my collection, I don't have a very bassy IEM. So I was thinking, hey, why not? Let's get a super stinky, thundery bass just to switch things up a little bit. And when I got these in the mail, I listened to them, the bass hit, and I was like, yeah, that feels good. That feels really fun. And on days where I feel like listening to some very heavy, fun bass, these just do it for me, you know? Now, are they the most correct sounding IEM? Absolutely not. Are they the most well-tuned IEM? Absolutely not. There are some really bad qualities about these, and that is especially in the male vocals. If you ever listen to Frank Sinatra or Michael Bublé, you would know that their voice have this kind of warm, rich authority to it. On the Honeydew though, they both sound like they swallowed a mini subwoofer. I mean, they sound bad. They sound just flat out bad. I've never heard them sound that bad before in my life. But that's the thing with the Honeydew. It's not made for all genres of music. It's made especially for a certain genre of music and for a certain type of audience. And for me, I find EDMs to be especially really fun on these. I find female vocals to be really fun on these, K-pop really fun on these, Dua Lipa, especially Dua Lipa and any music that's similar to hers, Billie Eilish, they all sound just extra boomy, extra fun. And there's a lot of air in these as well in the treble regions, so there's a sense of spaciousness that I also love with these. So there's a lot to like, but there's also a lot to dislike. So this is probably, I would say, one of the most polarizing IEMs that have ever came into my collection. It's either a love it or a hate it. The one recommendation I will say is that this is not the pair of IEM that should be your only pair of IEM. I mean, you should not buy this hoping that this is gonna be the last one, this is gonna be your only set. This is more like a flavor change set. Like for example, you have your main set that kind of works with all genres of music. You really like that one, you know, you listen to that one more on the daily. And you have this set, a super bassy, just ridiculous in every capacity IEM, just to switch things up a little bit. And that's where I find this thing fitting. Now, $250 for an IEM that you would use just every now and then, that's up to you to decide. For me, it is quite pricey, but did I regret spending the money? Not at all. Moving on, we have the Kiwi Ear Orchestra. Right here we have, Kiwi Orchestra. These one are, what should I say? They're great. I really, really like these. They have quite a nice neutral warm signature to it. It has a bit of bass to it as well, so it does have this kind of fun element, so it's not just a flat warm neutral. It has a bit of bass to it. The upper mid-range area, the treble is just really well done. Female vocals sound nice, full and forward, and for me who listen to a lot of female vocals, appreciate that 100%. Male vocals also sound fantastic off of these. Frank Sinatra, for example, really take advantage of that extra warmth to make it feel rich and just lush sounding. I really love every song that I play on these so far. I don't remember playing any song that I disliked on the Kiwi Ear Orchestra. And to be honest, if you were to ask me, hey, is there any bad things I can say about the Kiwi Ear? And as of right now, I really can't. Like, there's no super bad thing or any glaring flaw that comes at me when it comes to these IEMs. So it's just overall very solid. If you like warm neutral signature, I would say it's super hard to not recommend these. Like, you really cannot go wrong with Kiwi Ear. So yeah, Kiwi Orchestra, what else to say? It's well tuned, very well tuned. Everything sounds correct on these. Now, it's not as well tuned as like the Blessing 2 Das, or it's not as well tuned as the next pair I'm about to talk about, which is amazingly well tuned. These are not as well tuned as those, but they're well tuned enough for you to just enjoy how correct everything sounds, how natural everything comes across. It's just really nice set, solid. There's really no big jumping flaw about it, just another very solid set. If you like warm neutral, this is the set. Lastly, the Oracle, the Thieaudio Oracle. Now, just for context, I do, in fact, own the Clairvoyance, which is its predecessor, the older brother to it, the Clairvoyance, which are right here. Now, when I first tried the Clairvoyance, I loved it. I loved it with one caveat. There's one thing about it that didn't put it at the tippy top of my daily use, and that is the tuning. The tuning on the Clairvoyance is really good, like one of the best tuning you can get. It's just half a step or one step off from being pristine. I listened to the Clair in comparison to like the Blessing 2 Das, and for me, I enjoy the tuning on the Blessing 2 Das more. There's something magical about the vocals in the Blessing 2 Das that just makes me go crazy. I love that set so much. Even till today, one of my most favorite set of all time. And the Clairvoyance stands toe-to-toe tuning-wise to those, just again, a step or half a step behind. Now, of course, when we're talking about the details, the technicality, the staging, the depth of field, the Clairvoyance completely destroys the Blessing 2 Das. But in terms of tuning alone, the B2 does edge out the Clairvoyance by just a little bit. Now, with that long story aside, in come the Thieaudio Oracle. Now, these are magical. I love these so much. This is the Clairvoyance tuned as well as the Blessing 2 Das. I think even tuned better than the Blessing 2 Das in a way, because the treble is done better than the B2 Das. So these, to me, if you love the Das and you're looking for an upgrade to the Das, this is a direct upgrade to the Das. The technicalities is really good. The depth of field is better than the Das. The tuning is slightly better. It gives me that same goosebump feeling in the vocals that I feel with the Das, that same magical aura, the feeling. And with these being $160 cheaper than the Clairvoyance, I mean, oh my God. Like, I almost feel like they are unfairly good. I mean, I've tried other $500 IEM before, you know, the Dudu EST112 at $489. I have the Dudu SA6, which is one of my favorite set ever. And now I've tried these and of course Clairvoyance. These are just so good. so good. I listen to these for hours and hours on end, 2 days straight. I just listen to it. I don't want to ever put it down whenever I put it in my ears. I work with these as well. I just never want to take these off. They are legitimately right now my #1 favorite set ever. And in comparison to the Clairvoyance, if you guys want to know the difference, is that this is just a better tuned Clairvoyance with a little bit less in technicality. And when I say a little bit, I mean very minuscule amount. Like you would have to be critically listening to be able to tell the technical or the detailed differences between these two IEMs. If you're just casually listening, the Oracle just sounds like the better IEM. And that's coming from me, the owner of both of these IEMs. I love both of these IEMs to death. And I will tell you guys right now, the Oracle is better. The Oracle is just better. You don't need the Clairvoyance anymore. It's not worth the extra 160 to get that tiny bit more detail when the tuning on these are just better. They're more pleasing to listen to. I enjoy listening to these more than I ever did the Clairvoyance. The Clairvoyance, I pick them up every now and then to listen, but they never really live in my overall daily rotation. The Oracle does. The Oracle just jumps right now. Again, my #1 favorite set under $1,000. So yeah, that is it for this video today. Thank you so much for watching. This is 5 new IEM releases. I will be doing reviews of each one of these as time goes on, so watch out for that full breakdown of each one of these. And with that being said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Subscribe if you haven't yet, and peace out.